the official Wesleyan General Conference live stream. I'm Heath Mulliken, and before we get to our esteemed guest, I just wanted to show you a few things from the gift bag. First of all, the official buffalo wing sauce.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm anxious to try that. And then I saw a picture, somebody tweeted this, a buffalo cookie, which someone handed to me and said,
do not eat.
You can't have this.
Yeah, do not eat. What were they insinuating when they handed it to you? I don't.
This cookie will be eaten. So we are so pleased to be joined by Dr. David Wright.
Yeah.
He's the president of Indiana Wesleyan University. So many wonderful things happening there. But first, Dr. Wright, tell us a little bit about your own personal history and the road that led you to be president of Indiana Wesleyan University.
Well, thanks, Heath. It's great to be with you guys. Really look forward to the chat. My parents were missionaries in the Philippines from 1951 to 1970, so I've been a part of the Wesleyan Church for as long as I can ever remember, and before I can remember. And when I went to Marian College, I had a sense that God was calling me to the ministry, but I didn't really feel called to be a pastor. But I got captivated by biblical study through the work of David Thompson, one of my professors.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I thought, man, if I could do that, that'd be something I'd really like to do. I thought I was going to be a pilot. I thought I was going to be a missionary pilot, but just fell in love with the Bible, and through that, God led me into a missionary career in teaching and in higher education. And,
wow.
And then I came back to Indiana Wesleyan to work in 1994 and was a faculty member and administrator, asked to be provost of Indiana Wesleyan about 2008, and really enjoyed that work as chief academic officer. And then in 2013, really great surprise to me. I never thought I was going to be a president, didn't have that as a career goal, but I felt like the Lord said, just be available, and if you get chosen, do it with all your heart. So
wow.
2013, they asked me to serve as president, and here I am. It's been a great ride.
Wow.
Yeah, nice.
That's great. Dr. Wright, can you tell us about some of the programs that are available there at IWU?
You know, we're really blessed with a lot of diversity of programs at Indiana Wesleyan. Of course, we started with Marian College with a very traditional liberal arts program with about 80 majors, Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts degrees, really strong majors in education and music and art, in nursing and Christian ministries, chemistry, pre-med, pre-law. Those have been our really strong undergraduate majors through the years. And then about 30 years ago, we added the adult programs, and those really blossomed. They have about 12,000 students now in those adult programs, and that led us into more graduate programs in business,
Sure.
so MBA, Master of Science in Management. And then a few years ago, we added our School of Health Sciences, so we now have a doctoral program in occupational therapy, master's programs in public health, and you know, we'd like to add a doctoral program in physical therapy. We have master's programs in athletic training. So the Lord's really given us the ability, blessing of great faculty members to add some diversity to the offerings that we have.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of. It's probably unfair to do this. I don't know a lot about the specific degree programs. I've kind of, for whatever reason, I've kept up with the nursing, and it really ranks high in the state of Indiana and nationally as well, as from what I understand.
Yeah, the School of Nursing has about 2,000, 2,500 students, and we go through a doctorate of nursing practice. We have 3 master's degrees in the School of Nursing. It's been consistently ranked recently as the #1 nursing school in Indiana, and we've been the top 10 in the nation.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so you know, if you wanna leak something on our show, we'll let you do that. So as you peer into the future, I mean, what can you tell us, or you know, what are some things out there that excite you and that Indiana Wesleyan's pointed towards?
Well, you know, I had a vision for us to become a global Christian learning community. About 10 years ago, I never knew if we'd be able to do it, or if God would give me the chance to be a part of that. But it's been really fascinating to see the way that God has really grown our borders, you know, internationally. So we teach our programs in 6 countries in the world, and most recently in Jakarta, we'll graduate our first group of teachers in a Christian school there in Jakarta from our Master of Education program. We're expanding our partnerships in China, and we do some research with our Doctorate of Nursing students up in the northern part of China in Shenyang Medical College. And we've taught our program now for about 10 years in Beijing, our Master of Education program for people there. So that's one of the things we look forward to seeing the growth, in terms of the international reach of the university. But in terms of the programs we're doing in Marion, probably the biggest news recently is that our board voted for us to add men's football as our newest intercollegiate sport. We hadn't added a men's intercollegiate sport in about 39 years, I think it was. So we've studied that for a number of years, and it was a little controversial. Some people said, do you really want a football program with, all the news you hear about today that's not really flattering to some of the game? But when we studied it, there are a lot of families that are football families. And there are a lot of tremendous people, young men that are athletes and want to play football, and they go on to great careers. And we feel like we can handle the missional element. We'll do it with the right way, with the right coach, and a good stadium. So we're looking forward to adding that program. We're also really looking into adding biomedical engineering. Because over 50% of the market and the industry for prosthetic devices, so artificial limbs, knees, elbows, whatever, 50% of that industry is centered in Indiana. And a number of those companies have a real interesting connection to Christian people, run by Christian folks. And so they've been real interested in getting our students as interns and helping with that program. So we're hoping in the next few years we can raise some money and build a new building and have if not a school, at least a program in biomedical engineering. Yeah.
We're going to have Dave on later this week to talk about Wesley Seminary, but just briefly would love for you to touch on that. I remember about 8 years ago having a conversation with someone when the conversation was starting about Wesley Seminary. And, they said, wow, this is not a time to be starting a seminary. And, boy, this is not going to end well for them. And yet, this has really been an incredible story, hasn't it?
It really has. And you're right. If you look at what's happening to seminaries across the country, particularly in the mainline, more traditional seminaries, the picture really isn't very good.
No.
I mean, they're in decline. And when we really started with this very non-traditional model, a really innovative model, using online, but really what's more innovative is the integration of the disciplines together in the curriculum. A lot of people said, you can't do it that way, that really won't succeed, and so forth. And so rather than trying to argue against everybody and defend ourselves, we just said, hey, let's do it to the best of our ability and see whether God blesses that. And it really has hit an audience. I mean, in 5 years, gone to over 500 students.
Yeah.
And, we have students from a number of different countries, many different denominations. And, of course, Dr. Schmidt has been a wonderful leader for the seminary. Yeah. The day he consented to at least consider coming, I thought, man, the Lord has really blessed us. Man, how do you get one of the best pastors in our denomination, to leave the local church and come to lead a seminary? Because we really wanted this seminary to be the seminary in the local church. I have this theory that when a seminary gets separated from the church, it goes weird. It goes strange. It kind of loses its vision, its mission,
There's a quote. It goes weird.
It's got to be connected to the church because you're preparing people for the church.
Yeah.
And so when Dr. Schmidt came, we thought, this is amazing. God has really prepared a great leader for us, and he's done a phenomenal job. And now, of course, we're going to have to trust the Lord to send us the next generation of leadership. But it just is so energizing when you get with the students in the seminary and you see their heart for God, heart for the ministry, and their real hunger to prepare themselves better in a way that really, scratches the itch of preparation of how to lead in the local church.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Wright, we really appreciate you being with us. And I know you haven't hired your football coach yet, but if you need a color commentary guy, I may know someone. So again, we want to thank Dr. David Wright, president of Indiana Wesleyan University, for joining us. We're continuing to broadcast. We've got another guest. We're getting ready to, we had another guest we're getting ready to bring on. You just hold on at home. Give us a few moments. We got another great interview, and then we're going to talk about some other stuff. And then we got some more business tonight, some more memorials being discussed. So stay live right here at West.Life.
Hey, can I just, we do have another interview coming, and that she's standing over there talking, and she's not even looking this way. So It may be a second. We're going to cut away just for a little bit, but I mean a minute or two, and we're going to be right back with our next guest.
Everything that I'm doing today, I can trace back to IWU. I mean, I met my wife there. The classes that I took, I'm doing business and I'm pastoring a church, both skills that were honed at IWU.
I think one of the neat things that they did was give us the opportunity to experience. And through traveling on ministry teams in the summer, and then also through our youth conference, and then through some of the challenges in the classroom, it gave us the opportunity to learn hands-on.
Tom Sloan was in charge of youth conference when Nancy and I were college students, and we spent literally hundreds of hours in Tom Sloan's office planning and directing what became really a company, if you think about it.
Those experiences were very valuable and equipped us to dream, equipped us with the skills we needed to do what God had prepared for us to do.
Hey, welcome back. We are pleased to be joined by Dr. Joanne Solis-Waker, who we had on at the gathering when she spoke. And man, that was just, if you haven't watched that sermon, go back, Wesleyan Church videos, the gathering, watch her message, and then watch her interview with us with Wesley Seminary. Talk a little bit about what you're doing with Wesley Seminary, the Hispanic track. How's that going?
It's such an exciting time for us right now. God continues to bless the work of the hands of many people that have been pouring into this program. And we offer a Master of Divinity that is in Spanish, has been contextualized in order to respond to the needs of the Latino church. And we've just added a Master of Arts in Practical Theology. And in January, we launch a Master of Arts in Ministry, targeting more of a laity or people that are trying to discern God's calling upon their life. So it's wonderful to see how God has brought people. The Wesleyan Church continues to feed us students, but God has brought students from different denominations, independent churches, and from all parts. So we have students from here, the United States. Next year, we graduate our very first cohort from Bogota, Colombia.
Wow.
And that'll be about 17 students, all from the Wesleyan Church.
Wow.
cohorts that'll follow there will be from other denominations, including the Wesleyan Church. But it's just so exciting to see us pave the way in Colombia. And so this year we'll launch something in Ecuador, and we are working with Spain and also with Panama, and just sensing God's presence. And He's on the move, and I'm having a hard time trying to keep up.
Wow.
Hey, so to unpack that a little bit. So, I mean, how does this even start in terms of getting into other countries? What's the process that you're going through, and how was it even birthed?
You know, it's not a complex process because the seminary offers education online. We are accredited in order to be able to do that. Of course, there's a process that then will follow in order to be able to acquire the accreditation in each one of those countries, so these students are recognized for their works there. But really, we receive an invitation from someone in another country, and they formally ask us to come and explore the possibility, and we begin that journey. It takes about a year and a half. I do an exploratory trip, begin to have conversations to see whether or not it is a perfect fit. And then after we've entered a country, then we start to talk about, so what does this curriculum mean in your particular country? Because Colombia is not Hispanics in the United States, and it also is not the same as it would be in a country like Spain. And so then we begin to engage in that conversation and adjust our curriculum so that then they respond, they continue to be faithful to that culture that we're ministering in. But we welcome other countries to come knocking on our door and allow us the opportunity to be of influence.
Dr. Joanne, tell us a little bit about how you make the program attractive to these communities.
Right.
Because it's one thing to offer a program, but somehow you have to get people to buy in. What are some of the things that happen to make this attractive to Hispanic communities?
Well, I'll start by saying that, to my surprise, Indiana Wesleyan University already had a reputation established there.
Okay.
So the linkage between Wesley Seminary and it being housed at Indiana Wesleyan University sort of lays the foundation for us. I'm a Latina. I act like a Latina, I think like a Latina, and so there's this direct connection automatically that happens. And so we play in a lot into this familia concept of creating this safe haven that automatically allows us to feel that we're in this together. I use a phrase a lot that I call por Latinos para Latinos, and since we've invested so much into the program, not only in terms of our curriculum, but also contextualizing our process, from the first call to the admissions to the financial aid package to everything from beginning to the very end, we have invested in contextualizing the process. And that's where a lot of times we miss it, right? We think it just has to do with what we say or what we're reading, but there's a whole aspect in the process of it. So we've made that into a familia process. And in having done that, then this is by Latinos, because we've invested into it for them, for Latinos, which is what? Por Latinos para Latinos. And so that has really been a draw for us. The fact that our entire curriculum is in Spanish and that our resources are as well as in Spanish. And all our faculty, when we started, every single one of them was a Latino. We've added some that have the heart of a Latino and should have been born Latino instead of from other cultures.
Honorary.
But when we started, we made that commitment. We're going to give you what you need. And then, so we play off of that. What is it that you need? So everything is student-centered. God is the focus, but student-centered. How do we respond to your needs so that you're effective in that pulpit, because that's what the kingdom needs.
Yeah, it sounds like you could do a seminar for the church about contextualization. Hey, listen, let's switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about Immigrant Connection. We had Zach on yesterday, and the Wesleyan Church is really beginning to have a presence in this area. And in the evangelical movement, if we continue on the pace, we are actually, it looks like to me, going to be a leader in this regard. What would you have to say about this whole thing?
You know, I say we're already there, and I don't say that without that being backed up with the credibility of it. Denominations call us to try and learn from us. They send us emails. I receive email. I joined what was being done at Wesley Seminary in conjunction with World Relief when we offered that 40-hour training. And so I created the theological framework for those courses so our seminary students could get credit for it. So I get emails, I get calls wanting to to learn what we have done for it. So we're already leading the pack. And what is happening in Immigrant Connection, it's just taken a life of its own. It was a vision. Visions don't always come to fruition immediately, but this was different. Wow. It was a vision. The opportunity was there. It was the right time. We were in the right place, and there was the right people at the table, and it has happened. And if you take a look at the map that's at the Immigrant Connection booth, you begin to see the many that have applied and the many that are in process of it. So from my perspective, we're leading the way and doing it effectively.
Yeah, I was surprised yesterday. Yeah, Zach said that there are people are coming as far as 4 hours away to the one that he does, which I think just speaks to the need that we have in this nation. And it is so gratifying that we are standing in the gap. And I've said this on 2 or 3 other interviews, that it's nice to be able to say that we want to be part of the solution and not just join the rhetoric of, you know, that we see, the political bantering, let me put it that way.
Yes, and the primary reason I believe that people will travel that distance is because our model is different than even what World Relief is doing in terms of shadowing. Organizations will shadow within a lawyer's office, right? So they'll go to a firm and be able to do that shadowing. But we use the church.
Yeah.
And so in having the opportunity to go and shadow at a church, well, that changes the dynamic completely, because you not only get the legal component of it, which I don't want to minimize the importance of that from a lawyer's perspective, but we're doing ministry here. We're trying to be the salt and the light of the world. And so to have the opportunity to get that legal aspect plus see it done within a church, then that's really a draw. It's really appealing.
So if somebody's watching, we've got a lot of guys in the chat room, a lot of ladies in the chat room, a lot of young pastors. So if they're watching this right now and they're interested in Indiana Wesleyan or in Wesley Seminary, where could they go to get more information? Or if they want to connect with you, where could they go to find out more?
They can start with indwest.edu. They can go to seminary.indwest.edu. And if you are a Latino, mi hermanito, mi hermanita, you can go to seminario.indwest.edu. We're also on Facebook, Seminario Wesley and Indiana Wesleyan University, or Wesley Seminary at Indiana Wesleyan University. You can also link from LinkedIn, from Instagram. You can tweet us. You just need to look us up. If you really want to do this, the opportunities are there to be able to do it, and you just need to look us up and you're going to find us.
It's exciting to hear just all these different partnerships Wesley Seminary has and what's happening in the immigration, the Immigrant Connection. And it's exciting to hear about all the things happening here. She talked about Twitter and Facebook, all those things. We need you to keep tweeting and sending out Facebook posts and Instagram. And you know the hashtag, folks. Hashtag made new. Matter of fact, some of you have done that. If we've got these pictures, Stefan Gilbert. Listen, we're starting them young. Watching.
Look at how happy they are to be listening to the webcast.
Yes, we also had, so Dennis Harmison got, I think this is his whole church staff, they took a selfie with the new GS, which is great. And then, listen, people listening from everywhere. Trent Patterson sent us a picture from a treadmill that he is watching on a treadmill. I don't know if he was actually moving on the treadmill or just standing on it, but thanks to everybody. This has been an absolutely amazing experience. And we have a lot more to go. We've got a lot more interviews with great people like Dr. Solis-Waker. So stay tuned right here to West.Life. If you go to West.Life/schedule, you can kind of get a better idea of who we're interviewing and when. We're not sure when what memorials are going to be talked about when. That's why you got to watch it all. Over 40 hours of broadcast goodness. So for Tony and Kim and Dr. Solis-Waker and Matthew and everybody, we'll see you in about an hour when we get started with our next session. So thanks a lot.